U.S. life annuity insurers have doubled their ceded reserves since 2016, with an increasingly larger portion headed offshore. Here to discuss a new report on the subject is Jason Hopper, Associate Director of Industry Research and Analytics at AM Best. Jason, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Lori.
Jason, reinsurance deals to offshore entities have ballooned in recent years. What's driving that activity?
Sure. So 40% of ceded life annuity reserves from U.S. life insurers went offshore in 2023. That's up from about 26% in 2016. So huge growth. From a review preview poll back in March earlier this year, our annual conference, we took an audience poll of attendees there from one of our sessions, and 70% of respondents stated that tax efficiency is the main business rationale for offshoring reserves to various countries, particularly Bermuda. And most of the rest of the respondents stated that competitiveness was one of the main business rationales, the need to stay competitive. So what's kind of driving this? Higher interest rates are driving annuity growth. Many companies are seeing an influx of premium, and in order to kind of handle that growth and open up capital for additional growth, seeding business is one way to do that.
Bermuda, and to a lesser extent Cayman, are the leading domiciles. What are some of the dynamics at play there?
Sure. So as I mentioned, interest rates and annuity growth is kind of one of the underlying currents or drivers of this trend, right? Almost 40% of life annuity reserves were ceded to Bermuda in 2023, up from less than a third in 2021. Looking at just transactions in 2023, roughly 60% of reserves went to Bermuda. So huge growth just in 2023 alone. About 2/3 of ceded reserves for life annuity insurers going offshore went to affiliated companies, right? And about 45% of that, a little under half, are private equity / asset manager sponsored insurers. So those are the sort of companies that are really driving this trend. Some of those larger companies and private equity and asset manager insurers do tend to focus on annuity business. So that makes sense that they are utilizing capital intensive insurers. Looking at Bermuda specifically, it has a stable political, economic, and regulatory environment. It has access to legal and financial talent and professionals. There's flexible accounting. You could choose between IFRS, GAAP, modified GAAP, or statutory. So I think some of those are the reasons for Bermuda gaining some of this business.
And do you expect that activity to continue?
I mean, interest rates are still high. Annuity growth is still growing. So I think those underlying factors are going to continue this momentum. So yeah, I don't think this is going to slow down. It's just a matter of how many transactions we're going to see in 24 and moving forward.
Jason, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you, Lori.
That was Jason Hopper, Associate Director of Industry Research and Analytics at AM Best. For AM Best TV, I'm Lori Chortis.